Hi everyone, let's paint together today this beautiful 20 centimeters mandala first frost. So let's get started. Already prepared base, all materials in description. Choose any chocolate color for base. Every centimeter rows, and I did just every 45 degrees lines. I want to create 4 big flowers. So Nuvo really drops, again in description you can find all materials. In the center I'm placing one dot 5-6 millimeters diameter, so not too big. And I'm starting with the light mocha color and placing dots on the lines as you see, and the space between the lines. If you are scared that they are so small, you can place firstly dots on the lines as you see on the video, and when everything dry out, add small ones between dried these dots like that you placed on the lines. This is a small trick how to handle these such small dots. And one more advice, don't rush, take your time. This is really small ones, I agree. That's why you need to take some time and maybe come back later on and add small dots between the lines. So moving forward, the next color is Almondine, and the bigger tool I'm choosing, and I'm placing dots this time between the lines. And with these sizes particularly, it's working between the lines 2 dots. As again you see on the video, and this is inside of this row that we create. And just remember these marks that we did with white pencil, this will be removed. So you need to remember that this is like marks for you, but they will be removed at the end. Just small reminder. And again, don't rush. Make at the beginning dots maybe a little bit smaller and came back later on and add additional layer of a paint on the top. Again, small tricks for you. How to make it a little bit more pop out from the surface. And next row we are making with white peach color and a little bit bigger tool, 2 millimeters. And this time I'm placing dots on the top of a line, as you see, and between, like that. This time it's a little bit bigger and we got more space, so you can a little bit more relax if you wish, and place dots like not so carefully, but still careful. And moving like that, so you can place all dots, for example, on the lines first, and after that place between. Like that. And finishing up our row. Really beautiful already. A little bit bigger tool, and this time I'm placing 2 big dots between lines as you see, and the color is Toffee. And as I said, remember that all these marks will be removed. So you need to place dots like on the same distance between each other, but the marks really grade our point to understanding where exactly we need to place our dots. You can later on, when everything dry out, come back and with the same paint and the same tool place another layer of paint on the top of each dot, and this way to make it pop out from the surface much more. It will be really nice at the end when you're finishing everything up. Will be like really nice and giving like volume to the paint, to your painting, to the details. $10mm tool. I'm choosing warm beige for this really big one dots comparing them. So how I'm placing as close as I can to the previous row on every single line. And with the thin tool, I'm moving paint around, as you can see, to make the surface of at the end really pop out. Removing all bubbles. And like that, placing every single dot one after each other. And you see it's given another like perception, because previous dots were like really small one and this one's like really big. So this is making paint more interesting. Painting. So we are moving like that paint to make nice surface, like base for our like such big dots, and after that we can place more details on the top when everything dry out, as I said. Removing all bubbles if you see something. I'm doing this with a needle. And like that, I'm adding the same paint this time and adding like a little bit more paint on every single dot. So now I'm not waiting until it dry out. I'm placing on a fresh one, as you see, it's real time, just to make it even more visible, more pop out. Like that. So coming back to 1mm tool, I'm walking around these big dots with really small ones, and I want to go with the same. At the beginning we're starting with light mocha. So first central one a little bit bigger, and after that I'm walking around like that. And I like how this contrast looks like. So really big one, big dots with 10mm tool we did, and this 1mm and less. At the end it's even smaller dots, and like contrast looks really nice. If you're not sure yet, you're scary a little bit, so just wait until previous dots dry out and walk around after that. In this case, if you're messing a little bit with something, you will easily remove fresh paint. So this is one of the secrets how to, when you're just starting to paint, how to make it easier for you. Looks how beautiful. I like it. I like this contrast. 2.5mm tool. With Almondine, I'm placing one dot like that on across row and line. I can do a little bit more paint, add like first from the beginning, and two like that between this new one dot and our previous dots. You can do the opposite. You can place two first and one on the top. And again, look at your particular painting. If you don't fit in these sizes just a little bit, don't be scary to move your particular painting a little bit up or lower. This is just example. Go with your inspiration. I'm encouraging you to do this. I like myself to do this. I never know when I'm starting to paint where I'm ended up, even with this particular mandala. I didn't plan, to be honest, this ornament, but it's like walking and beautiful. So I'm encouraging you to take it as example, but if you feel something, if you want to experiment, let yourself do this. And we're finishing with these dots. Like that. I'm taking a really small brush, but you can actually do this even with a tool. I'm making like small strokes around like that, and the same paint, Almondine, the same color, and small, not too long brush, and again carefully walking around like that, now with strokes. As I said, if you are scared to mess up with these small dots, tiny dots that we just did, wait until they dry out. With such small dots, you don't need to wait too long. It will be like 20-30 minutes maximum, and after that you can start with the strokes. So don't worry. Just take some time, enjoy painting. I believe we need to enjoy the process, and do when you can. Especially nobody talking about that, but our brain really tired really quickly when we are dealing with such small details. So take yourself a rest, take yourself time, and enjoy the painting. And I like this ornament. Look at this flower, beautiful. Literally with small surfaces, for example like 10 centimeters, this can be like our finishing, but obviously we are moving forward. So I'm choosing really big 14 millimeters tool, and the color is white peach. So I'm placing this like that, so almost 2 centimeters between, and making really big one. I like this contrast, as I said, and moving paint around the same way, because I wanna after that place another ornament on the top when it's dry out. Yeah, I'm leaving behind one line. As I said, I wanna make 4 big flowers, and we are now creating like base for these 4 flowers. And again, I'm moving paint around, just creating a nice surface. For the next layers of paint, I will add later on, after this first layer will be dried out. And like that. So 4 big flowers, and we are just creating base for those flowers. Again, coming back with 1mm tool and the same ornament. We don't need to experiment too much this time. So again, I'm working with light mocha. First one a little bit bigger on a line, as you see on a row. And after that, I'm walking around like that. This time contrast even bigger, like 1mm and 14mm, 14 times bigger. But really interesting working. This is actually my first time when I tried it, so huge contrast, but really working out. We didn't go till the end, it's not enough paint because tool really small, but even these small details on the top will be visible at the end. So these small tiny details really helping to make our painting unforgettable. Pick a tool, and again I'm using Almondine the same way as we did. I'm placing, as you see, on a crest between line and row, last row, and the same when 1 and 2 below. This time we got a little bit more space. It's not so close as before. And this way we are creating interesting low of painting or something. So technically all parts of your even small mandala working each other, because some ornaments will be like the same, yeah, these 3 dots for example. So this is one of the tricks how to make simple but beautiful. And with the same, or maybe a little bit longer if you got brush, I'm doing like strokes around like that, the same color, Almondine, like that. I'm trying to not to make this too long, like ending up like that. And you see, our small dots still visible. Like that. So moving forward. Small and or middle-sized brush, not too big. And what we are doing next? With our first and only one custom color, I'm placing 2 dots like that on a line and making small strokes. I'm not going even till the end. I want to more like create green base for this flower, like that. And again, as I said, if you're just scary to mess up with these strokes, wait until previous strokes will be dry out, and you just after that can do these 2 dots will help you like a little bit with understanding how you need to place strokes. And these strokes like ending up like not even till the end. I'm just a little bit popping that around. And like how it's working together and totally changing our picture. like that. Remove bubbles if you got one, especially with custom colors. All materials in description, as always. What next? I want to add little small details, small brush. And I'm coming back to this, our light mocha color. I'm starting a little bit on the top. I'm adding really small strokes like that. Really small ones. Not to the end, just to the middle, like that. And you see, I'm starting like on level a little bit like between 2 and 1 dots, like that. Plus minus from this last line or the last row. A light mocha color. Middle-sized brush, and what I'm moving forward with white peach. A little bit lower, started a couple of millimeters, and I'm going not till the end of this green one, but like almost like that. And making our flowers a little bit wider. And you can, with next strokes, like cover previous one at the end, especially if you don't like it will a little bit wider, for example, than you expected. Next color is Toffee, the same brush, and I'm starting again a little bit lower, like really 2 millimeters lower, but this way, when we are starting not from the same levels, making this much more interesting, as you see. Like that. And more strokes we are placing, and you see this central big dots that we did, like not so big anymore, because I want to create really big flowers. That's why this is working for us. The next one, I want to do again over there small strokes with the color is Almondine. So I'm starting over there between lines, and I'm going a little bit around, but I'm not going too far after that, as you see. Just like that. So maybe 1 centimeter between the strokes. 2 dots like that. And small strokes around the flower, just on the top. So I just want to add additional petals and making our flowers a little bit more interesting, a little bit more unusual. And this way we are working with this space on the top of our flowers, like that. The next color, let's use again our light mocha, and starting like maybe 1 centimeter from previous line, and again I'm not going too far, just like that, just walking around. And you got like a little bit angle like that, so You can come back and making this 2 times, not from first move, but from like making first move and second one. Sorry, it's difficult to see. I didn't notice when I was painting that it really angled for the camera location. Like that. And don't worry, you can, if it's a little bit wider that you planned, you always can at the end place another stroke a little bit on the top, just for your information. And the next color, again Almondine, and I'm starting a little bit lower, like maybe 5 millimeters from angle, like that, and I'm placing this stroke around, making our flower a little bit wider, bigger, and more interesting. Yeah, over there a little bit wider. I will cover this with the next strokes. The same brush, middle-sized brush, and I'm starting from the row and I'm walking around. The color is white peach, like that. Just making this wider, but you see I'm not making wider at the end of the stroke. End of the strokes are placing almost in the same place, just making top of our flower and central part of our flower wider and wider. It's definitely working. I like the effect that we are receiving. The next color is Toffee again, and I'm starting a little bit lower again, a couple of millimeters, or like between this row, like that, and you see wider and wider flower. So I'm not, as I said, at end of the strokes almost on the same place. And wider your flowers, pay more attention how at the distance between flowers, because now we need to understand how this will play between flowers also. The next color is warm beige, and I'm starting from this row, see, and again I'm ending up almost at the same place, and our flower like became wider, but not at the end, not at the bottom of the flower. Really beautiful. I like this combination, these nude tones, and the really beautiful flowers we are receiving. And it's an interesting way green adding like freshness to our painting. Like that. Really beautiful. And again, I want to add some details with our custom color and small brush. So what I'm doing small petals starting over there and from the row line and just a little bit. I'm not going to fine even. I am just like ending just like that. Just a small spark of green, adding like freshness. And don't worry if at the end your stroke's not really nice. We will place some more strokes on the top of the end. So just place this nicely from the row line, last row line, and a little bit around, just a little bit, like that. And remember, we need to look how it looks between flowers also. Coming back to the middle size brush, and I want to make, again with light Mocha, small strokes over there, almost from the edge. And again, I'm ending up literally at the end, literally on the top of end of this green small petal, like that. And this way, we are working with this space on the top and the edge, and adding like small details that making our flowers like more and more interesting, like that, literally ending up on the top of this end of these small green strokes, like that. Really nice and really interesting. I like how this green like adding like freshness. Middle size brush, again, white peach color. We are working between flowers more now, so just add more strokes. Again, starting from this row line and walking almost till the end now. And I'm seeing how this is located between flowers now. Like that, so just literally, is it good for us or not? And I decided to go like a little additional one, like that, 5 millimeters from the edge, so like on the top of this one, and I'm just walking around. I'm not even going till the end, so I'm placing like that, first one, and after that I'm literally adding additional petals. With the same color, like that, just top size, top part, again to make it even a little bit more interesting. So first this one, it's more comfortable to make like for both flowers, like that, and after that additional small petals. It's not small in this case already, but the most important part is the top part of these strokes. And like that, you see I'm covered end of this green stroke. It was too wide, by placing on the top this one. Like that. It's so beautiful. To be honest, it's so beautiful. But let's move forward. We can actually leave it like that, but still let's add some strokes. So the color is warm beige again, and you see I'm starting a little bit lower, like maybe 2-3 millimeters lower than the previous one, and I'm working more with space between flowers now. Obviously, this will add our petals to our flowers, but this way we can coordinate how much space got, how wide stroke should be or not too wide. Like that. I like how it works, our base color, our brown base, all together, our flowers, just amazing. So what I'm doing next, Toffee color a little bit lower again, couple of millimeters, but even this 2 millimeters difference making it much more interesting than when we are starting from the same place. But I believe you already noticed this with this painting. Really beautiful. I like that. So we got some space between flowers, not too much, so we can add some small petals with small brush. I'm going with this custom color green, and again, as you see, I'm starting almost from the edge, but I'm not going even too far between flowers, just a little bit, like that. Removing all bubbles, especially over there, not enough space between, so I'm trying not to add too wild strokes in this case. End of the stroke, just thin one, like that, and still a little bit space, so I'm doing the same but with light mocha. If you don't have space, just leave it with our custom color, like that. If it's possible, like in my case, I'm trying to leave like even half of millimeter between the strokes, or at least not put this one on the top of each other. But definitely, even if it's impossible in your particular painting, just don't worry, it's so beautiful. I like how it works all together, all these brown parts also like a flower now. Really beautiful. I wish I could leave it like that. It's beautiful. So, white peach color, I'm starting the strokes, as you see, like below, between the flowers. It's not too visible for you, but I'm starting from a row, and I'm working with this space between our flowers and below, more even like a bit below our flowers. And again, end of the strokes almost on the top of each other. I'm not like making this too wild. Light mocha color. After that, the same way, I'm starting 5 millimeters below when we started this one, and again making really nice start of the stroke and end of the stroke like on the top of each other. I like how it's working all together, like that. So if you don't have enough space, just maybe don't use all the strokes that I'm doing now. Just literally look at your particular custom painting and create your own one. Use this one as example, as tutorial. like that. And next color I'm using Almondine, so I'm going now through all my palette the same way, 5 millimeters lower than previous one, and I'm walking around and often on the top of previous stroke, like that. And definitely look around, try to balance this painting all together now. We don't have too much space. And be careful because, for example, in my case, paint just fresh, so I'm really careful with placing strokes. Next one is Toffee. I'm using the same brush, 5 millimeters lower, and you see this one, not really big one already, just the same wide start of the strokes, and I'm ending up on the top of previous strokes, like that. Still some space, so let's go with warm beige. The same brush, and again I'm starting 5 millimeters below, and this time I'm making a little bit space between strokes, a little bit bigger, like maybe half of a centimeter, like that. But again, you can work with your particular painting. Some space still left, at least for me, so I'm adding small strokes with small brush with light Mocha, a little bit smaller one, like that, just to lighten up a little bit and a little bit making more details. It always looks more interesting with more details. And still a little bit, so let's add a little bit more green with our custom color. So what I'm doing, not a big brush, you can use still small one, and I'm doing like 2 dots like that between flowers and making strokes like that to the base of our flower, like that. So you can do this, or you maybe leave it like that without those, still will be beautiful. I just decided to add a little bit more freshness. Your strokes too wide, you can remove a little bit, and like that. Really beautiful. Let's leave it like that to dry out completely, before we are adding any details. So now it is ready to move forward. Everything dry out. You can add over there a little bit paint on the top of every dot, as I did, and you see it's all already popped out. What I'm doing a little bit more another paint on the top of these big dots we just did. I'm doing this with light Mocha. I'm placing these dot this way that our bottom of these dots on the same level as you see on video. Adding enough paint to make it pop out from the surface. Do this for our big dots, like that. And after that, again, I'm letting everything dry out to add our final details. You can form a little bit with a thin tool. So letting everything dry out now, and after that coming back to finish our painting. So everything dried. Again, I added at the center more layer paint on every single dot, so they are like really pop out from the surface. And now with 3D drops, I'm making the same size or a little bit smaller than the central one. I'm adding 3D drops like that in the center of these big ones. And also adding on the bottom of these ones a little bit even bigger, and with thin tool making small tails to the end of the flower, to the base of the flower, like that. And you can add much more dots, drops. I'm placing 2 small ones between like that, and with thin tool, or I'm doing this even with needle, I'm making small tails like that. So I'm doing this only on the top of these big flowers. Like that. So you can add much more between flowers on the top of the strokes. I'm decided to leave it like that, just simple but still beautiful. So a lot of spaces over there, between these strokes, on the top over there, everywhere you can add 3D drops, but I decided to leave it like that because it's kind of simple but beautiful. So hope you enjoy this painting, First Frost Mandala, and see you on next video. Bye!